7 fighters that regretted not touching gloves. Touching gloves is a pretty well-known tradition in both boxing and mixed martial arts. In MMA, it is also commonly done by the fighters once the fight starts, despite the fact that they usually do it right before, when the ref is giving instructions. So why do Ultimate Fighting Championship fighters touch gloves? UFC fighters touch gloves as a sign of respect and sportsmanship. For most fighters, a glove touch is also a way to communicate that any part of the build-up to the fight was simply said in jest, and there is mutual respect between them. In this video, we are going to look at 7 fighters that regretted not making that touch. But before we do this, remember to give us a thumbs up and a quick click on our subscribe button to get more videos like this one and support Brutal TV. Thanks! But for now, let's get started with our list. At number 7 on our list is the fight between NADIA KASSEM and YEON Kim at UFC 243. At the start of the fight, KASSEM faked the glove touch and went for a kick to the body. This deceitful fighter initiated the glove touch, which of course caught Kim off her guard and gave KASSEM that small opportunity. It didn't take long for Kim to get her own back. Without wasting a minute, she planted a great left hook to KASSEM's chin, bringing her down onto the canvas. But that wasn't the end. In the second round, Kim managed to get an outright win with a technical knockout. Next up at number 6 is one of the most famous fights for showing total disrespect for your opponent. Not only that, but being a real jerk too. We take you to the fight between Ronda Rousey, one of the greatest fighters of all time, and HOLM at UFC 239. It was Rousey this time who decided she was not going to touch gloves with her opponent, which did not go down too well with the crowd. It also was not a good move on Rousey's part. By the second round, HOLM was going in for the kill with some amazing kicks in her opponent's face, causing blood to spill and bringing Rousey crashing down. How stupid did she look at the end of the match? At number 5, we have Conor McGregor against Dennis Siver. Now, for those of you who have seen McGregor before, you will know that he does some really strange movements before a match and can be pretty intimidating to his opponent in the face-off. Because of this, some of his opponents get a little annoyed with him, and Siver was one of these opponents refusing to touch gloves. Probably not the best move to make against such a talented fighter. McGregor made his feelings known by giving Siver the finger, to be followed in round 2 with a left hook to the face, bringing Siver down. It didn't end there though. While Siver was down, McGregor climbed on top of him and pulverized him. A lesson learned, we think. Number 4 in the list is one of the fastest fights on record. Blink and you miss it. This fight between Quinton CULPEPPER and ROSENBLUM got off to a bad start when ROSENBLUM refusing to touch gloves, even though his opponent had his hand in the air. But that's not all. ROSENBLUM started throwing his punches before CULPEPPER could bring his hand down. This turned out to be a really stupid move. With one right swing from CULPEPPER, ROSENBLUM was down and out all within 4 seconds. That's a pretty amazing comeback. Number 3 is a really surprising one. The fight is between Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. Now, for some unknown reason, Silva decided he was not going to touch gloves with Weidman, which is pretty unusual for him as he is normally very respectful to all of his opponents. Not only does he normally touch gloves, he also gives a bow. In the second round, Weidman manages with several punches to the face to bring Silva down, and while he's down, the punches continue. To everyone's amazement, Silva loses this match. Maybe if he had touched gloves, this wouldn't have happened. Who knows? At number 2, we have the fight between Erick Silva and NORDINE TALEB at UFC 196. It's bad enough when a fighter refuses to touch gloves, but in this fight, Silva decided it would be clever to offer a fake glove touch. The sheer nerve of it. When offering the glove, Silva immediately follows it with a left hook to his opponent's face. A good shot, but very cheap. Not only that, but he also taunts Taleb afterwards with his arm motions, as if to say, "What you gonna do about it?" Well, he certainly got his answer only a few minutes later in round 2. Taleb blocks a kick from Silva by grabbing his foot and at the same time brings in a right hook and boom, SILVA is down on the canvas. Now that is karma. At the number 1 spot, we see the animal that is ATILLA KUBILAY square off with Richard BOWKETT in what would result in one of the lowest blows in mixed martial arts history. One can only guess what was going through the mind of ATILLA KUBILAY when he stepped into the ring. As BOWKETT offered to touch gloves, KUBILAY lunged out and cracked his opponent with the left hand before the bout had even begun. In a larger promotion like the UFC, this likely would have ended the fight with a disqualification loss and a hefty fine being handed to KUBILAY. But in the appropriately named British promotion Cage Rage, the bout was allowed to continue. KUBILAY came out wild but soon found himself on the ground. He was able to reverse position and end up on top in a front headlock position from which he landed several illegal knees to the head of a grounded opponent. As the referee attempted to separate the two men, KUBILAY refused to halt his vicious assault. The referee was then left with no other option than to apply a rear naked choke to restrain the violent KUBILAY. ATILLA KUBILAY, unsurprisingly, was disqualified for his atrocious conduct during the bout. It's a shame that some of these guys won their fights because they really didn't deserve it. A little respect goes a long way to your fellow athlete. Although the number 1 rule in combat sports is to protect yourself at all times, it is commonplace for mixed martial arts fighters and boxers to touch gloves at the start of a bout, out of respect for their opponent. It's not commonplace for that tradition to be taken advantage of. Shame these guys didn't receive that memo. What are your thoughts on these snakes in the grass? Or do you think it's fair enough? Do you have a favorite clip? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Brutal TV for more top fighting videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.